sweet sound.
Podcast is back for part 3. Brian Pearcy along with Andrew Hetes again. We're coming into probably hour 2.5 so far.
For the hat trick, baby, you got to put the third one in the net. We want the hats out in the ice, so here we are.
Yeah, so there's still talk of how we're going to be releasing these probably a day or two apart each one. So we want to wrap up the players here. As always, shoot us a voicemail, 714-75-WHOOP. Email the show, podcast at MNLHL.com. Follow us and subscribe to us on Twitch and all those other fun things available to us. But obviously there's no new news since our 5-minute break, if that. So
yeah, there is. Do you see this guy's 6th set? I bet you can't guess this goalie. It's a Ducks prospect right there. This guy's got Premier 4s, red, blue, and white. It's almost an off-red. It's like a fire brick kind of orange.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a goalie
right now.
set. This is fantastic. Here, the fans at home can see this. Look at this. I put it up to the camera. This is great. Look at this. This set. This guy's got sick pads. Like, if I had pads in the Sty game this good, I'd stop every single shot. Shout out to the GMs like Troy. If I'm your goalie, buy me a new set. It's my contract. You're gonna buy Pearcy's cousin a new stick, so buy me a new set.
Goalie Andrew Hetes is a holdout right now as he debates what set of hockey pads he wants.
That's too much. Okay.
So let's see where we left off. Our next person on the list would be Seals general manager Shawnee.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Whoop. I was getting hype. Yeah. So Shawnee's laced up, man. He's good to go. Anything he does on the ice is right. He's responsible. He's creative to an extent. He's has a shot to an extent. He can his defense really well. Everything he does is just right. He's a first-round pick. I mean, there's really nothing wrong with Shawnee's game. Honestly, he could play in a B league, borderline A league to a degree, depending on what league it is in. Like Mount Clemens, probably not, but Troy, B league. If Troy had their B league still around, he could get by. I mean, Shawnee's just a good player. He's a first-round draft pick. He's gonna be the anchor for that Seals team. If they do well and they get long, they do well, they get to the playoffs, and they go a long ways in the playoffs, it's going to be because of Shawnee.
Yeah, Shawnee. When I think of Shawnee, I think of a power guy. He's fast, but he's power fast, where he's got that one stride and he's already at full speed. That leg strength is just there. That just gets him going.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see him coming at you, you're just like, oh, crap. Like you said, he's good defensively as well, which is a great thing. He's pesty. But he scores in bunches. Sometimes he won't score for a couple games. I don't consider him to be a pure goal scorer. He's that power, like I said, power guy, scoring in bunches, being in front of the net, hitting them home. He's a north-south guy, not an east-west guy. I'm not sure how he could improve that scoring. I think it's when stuff's kind of cluttered up in front of the net, people get there, that's where he kind of struggles more. He usually, I think, scores on the breakouts, the fast breaks, those type of things.
Yeah, to me, he's kind of like Pavelski, young Pavelski, where you said, he'll score in bunches. He's an elite player. He'll pick up the bounces, like you just said, if they come out to him. He's really good north and south. His big thing is, I guess, if he doesn't do something well, is when he scores goals. Sometimes, a lot of times, he scores the goals is because of a serendipitous situation or a lucky bounce, like you just said, or another forward creates it and he picks up the trash. But when he's not picking up get the goal like that, or he's going up against elite goalies, sometimes he goes cold. And kind of Joe Pavelski does occasionally in the winter. He'll go in spurts a month, he doesn't score, then he'll score 3, 4, 5, 6 goals, get a hat trick. So he's kind of like that. I mean, you're going to draft in the first round no matter what. And if you can get someone else to play with Shawnee that is a goal scorer, a.k.a. Peso, like we said last podcast, or, maybe a Ben. Maybe Ben does work out. Ben turns it around this season and scores.
Maybe Ben's the guy who can be setting him up left and right, though. That could be the thing there compared to Ben actually being the scorer. Maybe he can actually set Shawnee up to put more goals consistently in the net.
Yeah, that might be the key that we're missing, that we're wrong of you and that Whoop has right. So they could go a couple different ways with their next pick, but long story short, he's elite. He's in the 90s stats if he has a Chell ranking.
Totally agree. Next guy, another first-round pick, Sugar Sean Hardy.
So this is the sweet tooth that everybody used to draft second overall after Proctor. The reason why I would draft him second was because, well, Proctor just wins. So there's really nothing that's missing in Sugar's game outside of his ability to. Maybe his shot isn't elite. I don't think his shot is as good as Proctor's shot from a goalie standpoint, or a couple other guys in the league. He doesn't have that great of a shot, but his skating ability is bar none. Probably the best in the league. I think it might even be better than Matt Taylor's overall speed-wise. His acceleration and everything else he has. He's very fast. He's great. Speed, he's great. Acceleration, he's great. There's really nothing like when it comes to a speed game, like you said earlier, speed kills.
I don't think he has quite the power Shawnee has, but he has north-south and east-west. He can cut on a dime, go north-south, east-west, go around you, like you said. I think those are. He's got a motor that just keeps going as well, which is really nice to have. So.
And another thing about him too is he will create. So like he does trust some of his benders. He does like Busta. Busta's on his wing. He trusts Busta with a puck. Like he will pass if it's a 2-on-1. Whereas some of your other elite guys, maybe like a Peso in second round or like a Pete, maybe they won't pass to someone that's like around 10, even if it's a 2-on-1 and the defenseman cheats to your star forward. You may not pass. You may still shoot, and then it makes a goalie's life mad easy. You got a guy open in the middle that you're not going to pass to. Okay, fine. Whereas Sugar will pass to someone that is open. He will give them chances. It's not like he won't just turn a cold shoulder to him. Maybe, eventually within a game or something, if he does it 5 times, you don't catch it, he might not. But long story short, he's pretty much a complete player. The only thing I guess that's not looked upon greatly in from the league and Sugar's on Sugar's behavior is he can like go from 0 to 100 real quick, like like Drake says. Sometimes someone gets underneath his skin, and then he gets angsty and hacks and whacks back, or maybe take a dumb penalty, and that's probably the only knock you can put on Sugar. So, is it a knock that he's competitive? No. Is it a knock that he might take a dumb penalty or two? Yeah. But overall, like you said, first round draft pick. He's being picked third overall by the Ducks after Proctor, Matt Taylor. So that's
you like to have those players with that fire, like you said. Every once in a while. Does he not take the best penalty? Sure, that happens to everybody, though. I think there are times he might where if he likes to give it. I've seen him like to give it a lot, and I think I've seen it before where people give it back, and he doesn't take that well, and that's where he gets those dumb penalties. So my only thing is this is something I do, I think, for everybody is if you give it, take it. Don't be mad about it. We're all here. But, if someone does something dirty to you, I don't blame you for that. But I do think there's times where he's given it and he doesn't take it as well as he should.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
fair assessment.
Next guy on the list would be in that range we've been talking about a lot about defensemen, Mr. Brawny.
Yeah, Brawny's a great guy off the ice and on the ice. He's probably in that top 5 look for defensemen in the league, which is kind of surprising. I guess pending on some of the new guys, right? He was part of the season and one of those top 5 guys, probably like number 5 in the league for defenseman-wise. Now with the new guys, he may not be anymore, but if you can get Brawny like in the 5th round, you're happy. If you can get Brawny in the 6th round, it's a steal. If you get Brawny in the 4th round, you're probably still happy, even if you overpay a little bit, just because Brawny's that first defenseman on your team, that first pairing, first overall defenseman that you can get, that may not have the super elite skills a star does, but has that grind, has that hustle, has
he's
that
just
smarts.
Solid.
Yeah, that you're just not going to get around him. He's going to make the right play every time. So
he's solid. He can handle the puck at the point. He's fine there. He's got all the skills you're looking for. Where, like you said, maybe athletically he's not like elite, but skill-wise he's right there. That makes up for everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, he's a good guy. Everybody likes him. He's nice to have on your team.
Yeah,
one thing I'm surprised for how skill of a guy is, he'll only play one side of the ice.
Well, I mean, he's just maybe comfortable with that. I mean, was he right-handed shot, left-handed shot? I know he plays
likes
left
playing
side.
left.
Yeah, he's left-handed shot.
I get
right?
it. I prefer left. I will play both sides though, but he's one of the only people that's like, nope, I'm left. I'm left. So. One surprising thing about him, but for the results you get, I guess you can't argue.
Yeah, fair enough.
So our next guy is Mr. Timmy Kimmel.
Ooh, this Mr. Kimmel is my sleeper pick of the 2019 draft here. So I feel people just forget about Kimmel. Like, he's gotten lost by the wayside. Like, he doesn't score. And honestly, in spring when he was drafted to, was it your team, right?
He was a stick
figure.
Yeah.
I was telling myself when I was watching that one game you guys played against the France that went into OT, and you guys, what was it, you guys won or lost against the Frontenacs? I can't remember. Anyways, point being, I was in the second period. You guys were down 2-1, and then they got a third goal. I'm like, man, they're gonna have to score some goals here if they want to step up. I mean, a guy like Kimmel, like, I haven't seen him do anything recently, and it's his first game he had played in like 4 or 5 games. Third period comes along. Guess who's scoring and creating all the goals? Mr. Tim Kimmel. Guess who then goes on the next 3 games and scores and creates goal for the stick figures? Mr. Tim Kimmel. So Kimmel, sometimes he has a tendency to, like, be kind of streaky, like you said with Shawnee to a degree, and he's a little bit older, but he's always in the right spot at the right time, and he has a good enough shot and a good enough accuracy that he can score when he's shooting the puck. So if you get him anywhere later than the third, steal, 100%, hands down, and sleeper of the draft. If you get him late third, it might still be kind of late third's probably where he's going to go, I think.
I love Kimmel. Played with him on the Whalers 2 years ago, and with there, I felt like I kind of learned his game. I think that team we had Trent and McShannock, so we drafted defense really high, and Kimmel was kind of our number one offensive guy out there. And frankly, that bit us in the ass. And that's where I kind of learned it. Like, when I drafted the stick figures, I knew he was a perfect addition. Like, you need him as your second guy on your line. You want that top guy, and if he's your second guy, he's going to excel. Like, I guess a weakness of his endurance is not the best. He'll take short shifts, and he's super tired when he gets back off the ice. But if you got those shifts flowing, that is not an issue. You feed him the puck in that slot, he's going to finish. He's got a hell of a shot. When his motor's going, he's actually fast. It's just you need to make, like, you don't want him as that 1A on a line. He needs to be that number 2 guy, or at least 1A, 1B, where he needs someone that needs to feed the puck back and forth. He's a passer. He's a smart plays.
He can't be
He's not like a Peso that give me the puck and I'm just going to take it all around and eventually find my shot.
Yeah, he's not a star player, quote unquote, or someone you build the line around. He's not like a foundational. He's not the right wing. No, excuse me, the left wing lock. He's not like a guy. It's like, okay, you're the left wing with the right hand shot. You're going to score all the goals. We're building the line around you. He's more of, I'll make other players better. So I kind of agree in that sense. Like, if you add him to a line with, like, I don't know, Proctor on it, or you add him to a line with like Pete and somebody else on it, like, he'll make the players on that line just better, and he has chances to score goals. Now, whether that's enough to push it, like a line that may not necessarily have like an elite player on it, like a super elite player like Sugar on it or Proctor, etc., or like Shawnee, it kind of depends. Like, no, I agree with you. I would say probably actually doesn't depend. I'd say that it probably is not going to work unless it's like he's playing a second line against another team's grind line. But if you're not asking him to be the man, and you're just asking him to support other people, he will score goals, and he's going to create chances for other players on that line. He just makes everybody better. So.
Yeah, when you put him in the right situation, he's going to excel for your team. He's going to make your team better. But you got to get him in that right situation, because if you don't, he's just going to be a neutral for your team. But I think we're both fans. Next man on the list, another fan favorite, Mr. Todd Otto.
Finally, that's what I thought the GM was. You mentioned earlier, and I realized we were in the S's, not the T's. Oh boy, Mr. Whoop himself, the Whoop It Shuffle. Can we get a Whoop Shuffle along the Twitch? Is that possible right now? Can we just like hit the button? No, okay.
I wish we could.
Fair enough. Anyways, oh boy. So yeah, Whoop is probably the league favorite. Let's not say fan favorite. Let's say league favorite, because everything Whoop does is just outrageous and perfectly acceptable in all situations of life. Like, you can do the Whoop Shuffle when you want to. Whoop makes like a hot take on something. You're like, that's right, Whoop. Whoop makes a bet. Whoop needs help doing something on what's it called? What's the betting app he uses?
DraftKings.
DraftKings, thank you. Yeah, DraftKings. I need to set the line up. Who am I taking? Whoop, you have 5 Islanders, and the Islanders won't even play today. No, it's just for tomorrow. Oh, okay. But yeah, Whoop's great. So as a GM, I don't know if he. As a GM, I don't know if he's the best GM and one of the better GMs in the league. I honestly, frankly, in my personal opinion, I think Whoop's kind of in that bottom tier of the 7 GMs in the league. So if you have a top half and a bottom half, I'd put him in the bottom half of the GMs.
He's won a cup, though.
He's won a cup in the first season when no one knew who Proctor and Rattler was and Shawnee. So I'm pretty sure if you put all 3 of those guys in the same line, which are all first-round and second-round draft picks, yeah, you win a cup. And he also had the second-best goalie in the league at the time. Granted, so he did that. Since then, the results have not been there. Was it last year? Was it last year that they beat the North Star?
No, we lost in the first round last year.
Yeah.
Last
2
year,
years,
I thought
2 years ago.
the Seals, they took too many offensive players and waited on defense too long. He did win the first year. It's hard to say. We'll see how this trade works out.
The second year he got to the finals, right? That's when they played the Americans?
Yeah, exactly. So giving him 2 years, 2 out of 3 years
he made
in the finals. You got to give him some credit there.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, you do have to give him some credit. I mean, that was a surprise victory. They beat the North Stars that second year, too. That was unexpected. And then last year's they had a one and done. The big question, though, is whether he's actually going to play, whether he's doing the health and wellness part of Slack portion right now. Because if there's one player that's had their stock go down in spring or stock go down in the past handful of months, it's probably been Whoop. So he showed up for, 3 games in spring for the Spitfires. He did show up for the championship, and he does have the good luck charm going for him. He riles up the boys and playing some Old Town Road and some Country Road. So that was good to have. And Whoop's always a great locker room presence as an intangible of his. But at the same time, at the same token, he's not necessarily the most fleet of foot guy. He doesn't always dig out the puck in the corners. Sometimes as a goalie, I'm screaming in my head, "Whoop! We're out of the way! I gotta stop the puck." So
yeah, Whoop. He actually has pretty good hands, and I think he has pretty good hockey smarts out there. Where he'll move the puck around, he knows where to go with it, but at the same time, he's lazy. I'm just gonna call it that. You can say he's got more weight he's carrying around, whatever. There was plenty of times last year where the puck's in his corner and he's pointing Shepard to run and get it when that's definitely his puck, or he just makes excuses of why he didn't do certain things. I felt like he also last year, I mean, he was Whoop and all that, but from year 1 to 3 on there was less hype emails, all that. I want to see that fire back in Whoop fully. I want those hype emails every week if I'm a Seal again. I want that fire, even if he, we want to see him there every week. I want him back on the Worms. I want all that. Let's get that fired up Whoop back. Health and wellness isn't everything. Like, just work hard. When you're out there, try your hardest, and that's all anybody asks for you. But, if he was in Troy's shape, he would probably be a 7th rounder.
Yeah, he'd probably go. Yeah, he'd probably go the same round as Troy, honestly, because he skates similarly to Troy, and his vision, I feel, is as good as Troy's. If he was in Troy's shape, he would literally be Troy. They'd be the same player. So, if he can work on that, right? That's something you can correct. Also, the fire, like you just brought up, that's an intangible that we saw in the championship for us in the Spitfires. But I didn't see it during the season because he was hardly ever there. And maybe, like you said, you didn't see it necessarily in the fall and the winter with the Seals towards the end. So, if Whoop brings the fire back and he brings back season 1, season 2 Whoop, that's a guy I want to play for. He's one of those. That's like I said earlier with Ben. That's a guy. He's like, oh boy, we put the team on my back. Let's go to the prom. Whoop doing a Whoop thing. I would play. I would be hands down for the Seals. But the way Whoop it was in the spring earlier, where he's kind of missing, kind of I'll show up on a Worms on Friday. Never mind, no, I won't. Or the iffy Whoop, the mopey kind of Whoop, Whoop that's not doesn't have the fire in his belly. That's not a Whoop I want to play for. So I guess the biggest question or X factor going into the season is A, what kind of GM Whoop you're going to get, and B, I guess, is Whoop going to stick to the health and wellness? If he finishes one of those bullet points, I feel like you're going to be happy to be a Seal, right? You're going to be happy to play with Whoop. If he doesn't do either one of those, you might be disappointed.
Agreed. Next on the list would be Mr. Turtle Tim, another guy. I want to say he's probably a 3rd round keeper this year. I think that's a decent spot for him. It's borderline. I'd have to see how things work out with the rankings, but he's a guy. He can play forward. He can play defense. Likable guy. Kind of one of those guys you just like being around.
infamous MNL broadcaster and league personality Turtle Tim. Turtle got his first league debut in broadcasting in a Stanley Keg this year, so that was good to see him stretch his legs there in the voice box. As a player, I love Tim. He's great to play in front of. I like when he's playing forward because he's always in the right spot defensively. And then going forward with the puck, he is not only unselfish with the puck, but he's also responsible. He doesn't make a dumb play. He's not going to skate into LaPoudre and be like, well, you know what? I can't beat LaPoudre. I'm just going to try to deke him anyways and then lose the puck. He'll go, okay, well, I'll dump in the corner and I'll go get it. Or he'll be like, oh, make that pass to a streaking sugar. He makes the smart play.
If anything about Turtle is a weakness, I think he's too nice.
Yeah.
I think he tries to get people too involved. There's been plenty of times I've played with him either on the Worms or somewhere else. We're up a couple goals, things are in hand. He starts trying to pass it over and start feeding me, and I'm just like, and I miss one or two of them. My confidence get low, and I'm just like, never pass me the puck again. He's just like, nope, I'm feeding you again.
That's your fault. He's teaching you tough love. I like that. He's like, you're learning, son. I'm making you learn how to do this.
Exactly. Like I said, he's too nice there, trying to get everybody involved. Let's try to get Pearcy a goal. It's like, no. Let me just stand here on the ice and be happy. But yeah, gotta love the guy. Back to the autos though. Ty Otto is up next. He's not the favorite Otto, but he's kind of he's kind of the forgotten Otto. I think he gets a bad rap sometimes.
Yeah, honestly, he has been like the quote unquote forgotten Otto. For me though, he was ref spring, big volunteer, push right there. So that kind of put him in the league for best Otto of the year running. He's a huge Liverpool fan, just like me. So that's another plus for me. He's getting my vote so far, and until Whoop showed up for the championship, like it was just Troy, and Troy irritates people sometimes with his smack talk, even though it's lovable smack talk and it's good to fire up the league. So I love me some Ty. So real talk, I think Ty's actually a better defenseman than he is a forward. Everyone plays him at forward, but I've seen him in drop-in skates as a defenseman, and he kind of reminds me of a more sound Panny. So like where Panny will sometimes give away the puck or just has that hurried panic mode, hit the panic button, oh God, someone's bearing down on me, and just chips it or throws up the ice. He's more calm with it. He'll get the puck, he'll make that auto look, he'll have the auto vision where he looks up and goes, okay, this guy's open, and he'll pass it to him. Now he's like Panny where like he'll keep people to the outside, and he knows if he can't he's gonna get beat, or if he can't take like a Proctor, Matt Taylor that's coming 100 miles an hour down onto him, he'll give him space, let him shoot from the top. But that's just my personal opinion. I think he's a better defenseman. But overall, as a player, I like Ty. I think he's going to be drafted, like you said, in the ninth round?
I think that's his keeper spot.
That's his keeper spot in the 9th round. I think that's fair. There's some elements of his game that could be improved. But, I mean, when everyone gets older, everyone loses a step, right? So he's not as fast as he probably could be.
Yeah, it's hard with Ty. I mean, I don't think he's got quite the hands as the other two autos do, but he's not a dumb hockey player, even though I think in the past he's taken some dumb penalties. He's, type of situation. He's kind of in that middle between, do you want him as a defenseman? Do you want him as a forward? I kind of like him better as a forward. Personally, he can get up the ice. He can be kind of physical in front of the net. He's a big, wide body. I want to put him in front of the net as a screen type, getting those rebounds, trying to put it back in, even though I don't know if that's been his game. That's what I want to see his game in. I think he's cooled it a little bit on his stalkering of and his comments on the ladies lately. I mean, he's still got his political views. We don't need to go there.
I don't hear anything else more about was it not Pro Hockey Shop. What's the Dana, whatever her name was. I don't hear Dana comments anymore from anybody. Anytime someone mentioned Dana, he'd chime in and be like, "Oh, is she still working?" I'm like, "No." Just laugh.
He had his other girl that was apparently moved to Hawaii as well. I mean,
tough breaks. Haven't
heard about any of that. So, he's like you said, he's been reffing a lot. He's that's obviously pluses for him as well. So I feel like Ty, he's moved up a few notches in the rung in the last year.
Quietly moved up, one would say.
I feel like he hasn't got the credit he deserves.
Fair enough. I agree.
Maybe it's not his hockey game, but his overall MNL game, he's moved up.
Yeah, his intangibles have been fantastic recently. And I don't know, not to say when I feel he's better in defense, but not to say he's not a bad forward. I mean, there's been plenty of chances. Remember when I played where he's had like a down and out right goal, and the only reason why I saved it was because like I did some acrobatic nonsense, or I just last minute like, oh no, don't score, like flail my arm like Hasek or something, and luckily save it. So It's not to say he's not a good forward. I mean, he could do well at forward too. Like you said, he's a big body, he's a screen in front. I just feel like he's better at defense.
Yeah. Next on our list, apparently my eyes went bad and I skipped a couple people. Mr. Trent Young.
I mean, do we need to even say a lot about Trent? The best defenseman in the league, and he can also play forward. So in special team circumstances, he's going to be on the ice no matter what, shorthanded, power play. Either as a forward or as a defenseman. I personally like him as a defenseman better because, again, before this year, there wasn't a lot of really like good elite defensemen that could shoot the puck from the point. Now we have more new guys in. Maybe he plays forward. Maybe he plays with a Serta. My only knock on Trent is there's two things he doesn't have. He doesn't have like acceleration. Like he's not gonna go start stop, like Sugar or even some like the fourth round guys that can skate really well, like Dave P. Or even like a Peso with a quick acceleration. But his top end speed, he actually is pretty fast for being a bigger
he's got
guy.
those long
and he has
strides that are deceiving that you don't always realize are there. And when you're skating, all of a sudden he's going by you, and you're like, "What the heck just happened?"
And he does have kind of the same move he always does. He doesn't have a lot of moves in the toolbox. He just kind of uses his reach to his advantage, which is great against everybody that's like round 3 or 4 and below. But once he goes up against like someone that's a good defenseman, like a shutdown defenseman, like a John Starr or even like a Bronny, which I mean Bronny's not third, but a shutdown defenseman, he may not always get around him, but that's not necessarily a knock because it's not like he just goes straight into him and loses the puck all the time. He'll skate around the net. He'll wait till something opens up, which is great. So as a player, Trent again. I mean, if we're looking at NHL stats, we're talking about the Chell. He's in the 90s, and he's gonna go second round because Serta's going first, so he's like the second or third pick.
So let's do this. Like, let's just say we had no GM first, second rounders. We had nobody being a GM.
Mm-hmm.
None of those guys were GMs.
Yep.
Would Trent make the first round?
That's really tough, honestly. Wow.
I think.
Yeah,
he would.
I think.
I personally have him. I personally think I have him slightly above Serta. I think he's above Shawnee.
I don't think he's above Serta. I don't think he's above Shawnee either.
I think he's above Andy.
See, I don't necessarily think that he is. If he is, I think he'd be in the first round. But I think he'd be 7th overall. See, there's a lot of people still high on Pete. I want Pete to prove it to me. I want Pete to go out and do his Greek freak and just use a wrist thing and just get his wrist real strong, score a bunch of goals. But until he does that, I'd almost draft Pete first overall in the second round and flip flop him and Trent. Trent would be 7th, and Andy Femme would be 5th.
To me, Pete's still solid number 4. I still think he's got a pretty good gap over Serta, over the next guy. Like I said, I feel like Trent's 5 or 6 in my book.
You think he's better than Femme? I don't know. I think
they're different players. I
definitely think they're different players.
I think Andy is still pretty raw. I think maybe by this time next year, I think you could put Andy clearly above Trent. But as of right now,
what do you mean raw? It's he's the guy's been playing hockey for years. It's not like he's just some new prospect. I've just joined the Null. I'm about to play here in the Null or the Fed. I just joined the Fed, and this is my first year. He's not.
I don't know. His game just feels. That's how his game feels to me. I feel like he could tighten up in some areas, and I feel like there could be quick improvement from it. Is playing he's been playing for the K-Falcons the last couple of years. Start putting him against some good competition regularly or better competition regularly with some other players that are also good. And so you could say, yeah, the K-Falcons are playing against some guys that are pretty decent, but we're getting our butts kicked. You stick him with some guys that are, good players, then he's playing against other decent, step up in competition overall all around. I feel like his game's going to start to excel more in that fashion.
Fair enough. So then, in regards to Trent, you think he's better than? You think he'd be a worse player than Trent? And you put Trent in the first round.
I would take Trent above him as.
Where'd you take Trent then? What, 5 overall?
I would take Trent above Shawnee. I think personally.
So you'd take Trent 5 overall.
5 or 6 probably.
Well, then who?
Him and Serta, I always flip a coin with.
Yeah. See, for me, it's the top 3, then Serta, Shawnee. Then Serta, then Shawnee, then I don't know. Femme, and then Trent, then Pete.
Yeah, Pete to me is still a solid 4. So, looks like we're going to finish this last one a lot quicker than the other ones because we're down to the last player on the list. Mr. Troy Otto.
Oh, Lord in heaven, have mercy. Thankfully, he's not here, so we can drag him and his corpse along the asphalt. Let's do this. Troy sucks. He's like the worst player in the league. He has no hands. They're concrete. They're actually Quickcrete. He got it from Home Depot, poured it in his gloves, and he can't make a pass. He has no wheels. He can't skate backwards or even cross over. He's super slow. Those little ice crusher things you get for the little kids you have to use when you open skate. He uses one of those when he skates. His bucket doesn't match his gloves. He's the worst player ever. He sucks. No, I'm joking. Okay. No, Troy. Honestly, Troy is probably one of the. After like the third, fourth round, I'd say like intelligent wise, like him and Dougie are both cerebral. Like I said, Dougie's cerebral. He's one of those guys that I view as a cerebral player. He will make a bad play because he holds on the puck for so long trying to make a good play. Like he's one of those guys that like, okay, so a good player's gonna come down on me. I'm gonna play as a good player just like I'm playing a bad player. So sure, maybe Peso beats him one out of like the 3 times he comes down on him. But the other 2 times, you might put one of those 2 times, you might pick the pocket of Peso. That's a lot of P's. Take the puck and then like turn around and hit a feed pass. And now you got 2-on-1 the other way. Fem and Peter screaming down on me. I'm like, well, fuck me. And then one of those guys scores, right? So it's not polarizing the way Troy plays. It's just if he gets more time as a player and in the right league, like maybe if like this league was even had like maybe a little less talent, he'd be even more of a shadow, kind of covering more ground and be able to hit more people with passes. But overall in this league, he's still good, but he's not. His skills don't shine through his cerebralness.
Few things on Troy is when he stepped out and started being a skater, I was surprised actually how good he was compared to what I thought he was. 2, he's nowhere as good as he thinks he is.
Oh, that's a big fact, yeah.
There's 2 sides of Troy. There's the first side of, oh, I should be like an 8th round keeper or something like that. 7th, like, oh, they put me as a 7th rounder. In his head, he thinks he's like a 5 or a 6. There's no doubt in my mind he thinks that. So
I think he thinks he's like a 7th, but like he's like I'm a 7th round pick, but like he wants to be drafted 8th or 9th.
I think in his head he thinks he's better than that. There's nothing that makes me laugh more than when he's at the blue line holding his stick up about feeding him with a slap shot. But he's like same thing with Todd here. He's got good hockey IQ. He's got good hands. He knows where to go with the puck.
Defensively, he's better than obviously Whoop and better than some of the guys you could get in those later rounds because he, as a goalie, kind of knows spatial awareness on the ice. Like you said with his hockey IQ, he knows where to be in defensive zone. Now, whether those translate to his foot skills and his ability for lateral movement is another thing. I've seen a lot of guys like first rounders, second, third rounders of late in spring season just kind of use your speed and blow by him on the sides of the boards, do like the inside, outside, and walk him a little bit. So if he can kind of recognize or kind of pick up on when he needs to either step up or when just to back off and give space to people and kind of do like the panty thing where it's like, look, like I probably could play this smartly and, play Peso high and then 2 out of 3 times I get the puck, but that third time I don't get the puck, it's a breakaway. If he just does the panty thing occasionally more often where he just gives Peso space and maybe sure he sacrifices getting the pickpocket or stopping Peso high and then like turn the puck the other way and he just gives him space so they get under the zone. Sure, it may not be the the prettiest play. It may not be like the perfect IQ play or like the way you're supposed to play it, but it'll prevent those breakaways and those goal scoring opportunities that some people may have tried to been able to get more so lately.
Yeah, I also think Troy, he's a highly uncoachable player, I think, as well. He's a guy where you come up, like I said, he's a guy who loves to give advice, but it's not even like coming back. Like in a different situation, you come back and you say something to him, he definitely blows you off a lot of times. And I think, and it's part of, I've heard him say it like, oh, I don't like taking coaching advice for people I think are worse than me type of thing, where it's almost like a respect level of like.
It's a little conceited, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that's in his mind where I think he thinks he's better than he truly is. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad player though.
I think it's because he sees the ice so well and he has that cerebralness about him where he knows where to go with the puck. He just doesn't have the skills or the hands quite yet to translate that or the feet skills, the speed, and translate that into the prowess that he wants. So, I feel overall like a Chell rating for Troy. I mean, he's probably mid to late 70s, and he thinks he's like high 70s. He probably has like 2 or 3 60s ratings, a couple high 70s ratings, and it ends up with him being like low to mid, maybe like a 73 or a 4 or something like that, or 72. So if he just works on that one defensive lapsing of just focusing on giving people more space, maybe as a goalie, that would be maybe nice for whoever's going to be his goalie. But then offensively, everything else he does about his game, calling for the puck or being active or making the right pass, that's all pretty good. So I can't complain.
Yeah, totally agree. Troy's got that same complex that Drager has. He comes up to you, Captain Obvious, telling you stuff that you don't like. You're like, yeah, I know that.
Hey, Pearcy, you want to chip that up the boards and out. Use the boards when you close out, not the middle. Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Pearcy, don't turn over that puck. Yeah, I realize that.
After it's happened.
And
right.
then he does a turnover, and he just looks at you like, you're a giant a-hole.
He just admits it first. Or like if he turns over, he's like, yeah, that was my bad. I gave up that breakaway. Like he admits it before you can tell him. But I mean, I don't know. That's just kind of. I'm
just saying that partially because Drager's in the chat right now saying like, maybe it's because you're a horrible coach. It's like you do the same thing. I don't need to go up to every different player and being like, you did a horrible play here, a horrible play there. Because like I said, 95% of the time, if someone says that, like, hey, whatever, it's like, yeah, I realize that. I feel horrible right now.
Yeah. So I guess one intangible about Troy though, like you said, is you may not be, or he's besides him not being super coachable, I guess, would be he also always like chirps, which is great because he's a commissioner. He's one of the commissioners in the league. He wants to razzle people. He wants to build the hype. So he's always looking to be the hot take in the room. Your Stephen A. Smith a little bit, as vice your Pierre LeBron for reporting the facts. He's more so like, you know what? I don't think that Shawnee is a first round talent because blah blah blah. And you're like, whoa, what a hot take. Or
he does like to stir the pot, but then it's actually a typical Otto thing, which is it's endearing a lot of times, but it's like he does something like that, but then when you come back at him, he's like, oh, why would you say that about me?
Yeah,
my feelings are hurt. He also loves to drink water. He also loves to steal people's water on the bench.
Oh, that's a pro play. See, I do the same thing because like if you don't bring a water with you, then you don't have to remember every single time.
I think he does bring a water though. I think he
just uses other people's. That's the worst.
No, he just drinks so much water on the bench. It's just that insane. Like he'll drink like 2 bottles of water.
He's a hydrated boy. He gotta drink that H2O.
Like, I'll use my water bottle like once or twice, like in a game, just like a quick sip. And he loves stealing that water though. But I guess it's just part of his charm.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's it. That's kind of funny. So how much time do we want to touch on? Do we want to touch on goalies?
How fast can you do the goalies? We're only 40 minutes in.
Oh, we got 20 minutes. We can do goalies in 20 minutes.
Okay, let's rock and roll. So our first one would be Mr. Riley.
I've known Aaron for a long time. We went to state championship together. So the thing about Aaron is I think a lot of people would also admit in the league is he's kind of streaky. So sometimes he'll play lights out, where he'll play consecutive 4, 5, 6 games in a row, and he'll play like 2 goals against, 1 goal against. He'll play really well, and then if the team can play to his style and let him use like his larger size and frame on net, stop the pucks, it'll be more advantageous to him. But then there's times also as well where maybe you get a team that's not as reliable defensively, and he's not feeling whatever it is, or something else is going on mentally, and he's not in the zone. And he'll have those games where he gives up like the 1 goal where it's like team kind of deflating, and that can suck. As a goalie, it always sucks to give up like a deflating goal that you should have stopped, and everyone else is like, oh well, what the hell? You give up a shitty goal. It's like, thanks, yeah, I know I gave up a shitty goal. Yeah, I mean, I high five you. I don't need to be told. Anyways, so the point being, mechanically, he may not have transitioned to like the late mid 2000s kind of late mid 2010s kind of game. So a big thing people do now is like reverse VHs on posts. He doesn't do reverse VHs. He sticks with mainly the VH, which to me is strange because he's a larger frame. So on a reverse VH, it's when you have your inside pad down on the post and your outside pad up, where that's where you get the name from it. If you put like an R an RVH and then a VH next to each other, like the letters, and then you draw like a stick figure, you'd see like how it looks. Long story short, if he included a couple newer things, which are really easy to like change in his game, like like I just said, the reverse VH, and then like maybe bring out his glove more, because I see sometimes he'll set up with his glove. He tends to put it in front of his body as opposed to outside, which would be better because the puck view and puck angle, you have more frontage of equipment to block the puck. The glove doesn't do any good in front of your body, right? So he just changes a couple small things, and then I think he'd be fine. Honestly, I don't think he's gonna be the worst goalie in the league currently right now. Just because one thing he does have going for him is he's always working out. He's a police officer by day, goaltender by night. He's always in shape, and so even if his specific stance or mechanics aren't perfect, some of it he can make up with his athletic ability.
Yeah, I've never actually played with him before. I've only seen him play on other teams. It's a lot of times there was like the Riley's a drop below other people type thing, but it seems like every time we play him, we never like super light him up or anything. I don't know if it's just the teams I'm on, what's going on. He's always seemed pretty solid. A couple times I've talked to him, seems like a good guy as well. It's harder for me to talk about the technical side of things, so I'm going to take your word on that. But I'll take him on my team. I'm good with that. It sounds like as of right now he's probably ranked by most people that last goalie, but I don't know if that's fair or not.
Yeah, I say maybe it's fair, like 6-7. It's a coin flip. You want him or do you want Dylan? I think is Dylan the next person?
Actually, Mr. Hetes, you're the next person. So I'll say this about you is there's times you go on those hot streaks where you're winning games left and right for people. My biggest gripe with you is getting on the ice in time. I've had a couple times where I've had many of times where you're in the locker room, you're the first or second guy in there. You don't start changing until the horn blows for the next team. You're not there for warm-ups.
Nah.
And we've even had one or two times where we started the game out with 6 guys
for
on the
the worms,
ice.
yes, because I've told you guys, hey, I'm coming late because I forgot X, or hey, I'm late because I got a ticket, or hey, I'm late because blah. Like, I let you know I'm coming late.
There was one or two games where you were not late, though, that happened to. It's, hey, got to take the good with the bad. I've also seen it before. I think when you first came back this year, you were playing super good, and then all of a sudden a couple goals went by. It seemed like just like any other goalie, you kind of lose your composure a little bit a couple sweek in, but I don't think that's anything else different. I think overall, though, you're a solid goalie. You get super hot, super quick as well, which is all very positive. So you want that as a goalie, but you fly off the handle a little bit. Sometimes you're a little emotional and a little spicy.
Oh, that's part of, I guess, the persona, right? So I'm not always I'm a little even more laid back in the podcast than I am in the Slack chat. Like, and when it comes to actual like social media and like text and form and things like that, I always like to be a little more bombastic. I'm kind of like Troy in a sense, a little bit to it, where I like to, gas things up or make or talk shit a little bit. But at a certain point, like, there's only so much shit you can talk before it's like, okay, shut up and go do it. So, goalie wise, I have my personal feelings about where I should go. Whether I go there or not. Well, no. In a perfect world, I'd say
everybody has an ego.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I'd say 1. I'd say first overall. I know what I'm capable of, but at the same time, between equipment and not being like flexibility wise where I want to be, if I'm not playing for a year and everything else. Can I justify myself as 1 and like what other people have proven? No, not necessarily, but at the same time, I've had better goals against average than J-Flo in the past. But it also comes down to teams and what you have. So, I know where I feel like I should go in the league, and I know where some people view me, and wherever I fall in the 2, 3, 4 slot, that's where I fall. I'm not gonna be too mad. I guess it's kind of down to the lower you go, the better the team, right? But that's not necessarily true with the goalie draft. So,
if Cone wasn't a GM, are you still top 3?
Are you kidding me?
Just asking the question.
What do you think, Pearcy?
I'm horrible.
I'm just curious. Now I'm just curious.
I like Cone. He's a K-Falk. He's my
newspaper bulletin material. Just tell me, man. Just tell me what you feel.
Any goalie that's on my team is my goalie, and I'm defending.
Oh, don't give me this like flaccid cock answer. Give me something legitimate. Be like you just throw out a spicy question, hot take.
So to me, I feel like J-Flo's the top guy.
Okay.
After that, I think Cone's in that mix with the other 3 guys. of you and Cam. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's right in that mix. I think it depends on the day. I've seen Cone win plenty of games. I'm not saying he's better or worse because I don't technically know a lot of that stuff, but I think he's in that talk.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
I can see on your face the hurt and the.
There's no hurt. No, there's no hurt. It's all smirk right now.
Anger.
The camera's straight on me. It's all smirk right now. There's no anger. That's all smirk.
You're just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, you're clueless, which I probably could be with a goalie. That's more than fair.
Okay, so mechanically wise, like I feel, I do want to get some new skates because my new I feel the way like my skates are right now, my feet mobility in the crease isn't as good as it used to be. And that's kind of down to like just I don't want to say it's gear because I mean I have no idea if I get new skates if they're still going to suck or not. I mean it depends on there's new technology every single year it comes out. But how good a goalie skill is a lot of times kind of comes from their feet. That's how I've always been taught as well. Doesn't mean like your feet kind of direct your body, your eye, and then your eyes direct your feet direct your body, and that's kind of how you play the position. But long story short, I kind of feel I'm top 3. Where I go, whether it's 2 or 3, is up to whatever GMs think. I know what I'm capable of, and mechanically, I'd say I'm top 3 as well. So we'll just leave it at that. Who's up next, Cam or
Cam would
Dylan?
be next on the list. Another guy. He was on my team last year. I felt like
so
with our defensive core we had last year for the Seals, he definitely helped carry us because we were goals against. We were one of the more highly rated defensive teams or goalie rated, but I think that was mostly Cam there. I feel bad. I felt like I hit him in the head a lot with my stick last year. Ran into him, lots of injuries. Kind of scares me that I'm going to hurt him back there, but I think he's solid when he's on. He's on. Sometimes, every once in a while, it feels like you can maybe miss a game when you're not expecting it, but outside of that, like him, good guy, everything like that, positive in the locker room.
So my big thing with Cam, I guess what I've noticed is the kind of X factor is, like you said, whether, well, I guess 2 things of recent because another thing's developed. So the one thing is occasionally he'll have to miss a game, right? Because, he has this kid and, family comes first. So, I mean, you got to make sure that when you have your child, if you can't babysit or you can't get the time off to do something, you have to take care of your family. So that can kind of pop up occasionally or randomly. I don't know if that's a big issue on Mondays and on Fridays. But the second thing is just injuries of late. He has getting popped a lot, and he has had concussions in the past, from my understanding. So he has gotten popped from a lot recently from some like weird, someone skates too close to the crease and bumps him with a knee or takes a weird shot. So that is kind of a factor. Goalie-wise, again, he's another goalie that's going to be top 3 in the league. Mechanically, I'd say right now he's probably better than me. But when it comes to like, I don't know if it's like mental fortitude or maybe it's with the concussions or something recently, but like, the past 3 games hasn't looked like the same Cam that was the 3 games he played prior to. So, in the spring playoffs, but that's just 3 games in like a one little 3-week span. I mean, you have the entire fall season to go and a fall playoff. So, then again, the quote unquote just spring. So he, like I said, he's a good goalie. He's gonna be talking top 3. He could go 2 or he could go 3, depending on what I guess Troy kind of feels. So.
Yeah, Cone is up next. Obviously, he slotted into that 7th out of the goalie just because of the GM ranking and draft lottery. That doesn't really mean anything. He's a huge body. He makes a lot of nice saves. I think he does have a tendency out of, like, the people we've talked about to let in those goals that are just like, how'd that trickle in? Should have been stopped. I think he gives up some of those weaker goals more than a lot of other guys, but he also comes up with a lot of big saves.
Yeah, so that's actually the big thing I was going to touch on with Cone, and that's kind of why I don't feel you can put him up there with like the top 3 guys in the league. I like Cone, and he has started position after I think me, Flo, and Cam, but it kind of shows. He's just, I guess, doesn't have as many reps in, but so the big thing about Cone is he makes huge saves, right? In the playoffs, he shows up, so you can't knock him for any of that. So I mean, that's a huge plus. You got to put. That's why I guess I would understand why you'd put him in the top, talking the top, 4 top 3 goalies in the league, because in the playoffs he's been monumental. I mean, when you give up 0 goals, you get back-to-back shutouts, or you get 1 goal. I mean, you can't ask anything more for your goalie. That being said, like you said, I have seen him, I guess, before give up like, how did that go in? Like just like a shot from like the blue line from like a 7th rounder, like Math shoots a puck from the point or something, and it's like, what? Like, but then he'll like turn around and make an acrobatic diving Hasek save, like two people out front, 2-on-0. He'll save it, kick the rebound out, and then like roll over, throw his glove at, and you're like, whoa, that was spicy. So
he also has, I think, the biggest spice factor in that. Like, if someone runs into him, anything like that, he'll get up, he'll push him. I mean, he was calling me a face fuck like 2 years ago.
That's
he
great.
was giving me the stiff arm to the helmet,
Hell
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Which at the time, it's like, what the heck is this? But that stuff's great as well.
Yeah, and another thing about a Cone too, from like an actual goalie perspective, like stopping pucks, is he's a bigger body, right? So he's kind of like where he's like Dylan and Aaron in the league, where like he can use his size to his advantage. He may not be as mobile, but he's got size on myself and Cam and Flo. So he uses that to his advantage, and when he does, he's at like the top of his game.
Yeah. Next up, I think, is most people's number one rated goalie, J-Flo.
So yeah, J-Flo is the number one rated goalie. Facts aside, like mechanically, positionally, and everything else, he's solid. He doesn't really make. He doesn't. I feel kind of like myself. He's not going to give up like Cam. He's not going to generally give up a deflating goal. Or if he does, it's not going to be like multiple deflating goals. It's not going to be like you play a game and you give up 2 crappy goals and then the other goalie gives up 1 goal and then you lose like 2-1 sort of thing. So like that's a big thing about Flo. Now whether he's undisputed number 1 from like the goalies and like the stats in the past, I mean he hasn't won a keg. In the past 3 teams that he's played on, he has been drafted number 1 overall. But all those teams have drafted arguably him like 1 or to 2 rounds early, depending on the year.
That's the interesting thing with having the separate goalie draft this year. In the past, people were taking him 5th, rounds, people around there. And that hurts your team for offense and everywhere else. But now, especially this year with the Americans having 1-1, that's going to be huge for that team. And even Antioch is that second rounder. They should be in the driver's seat going into the regular season.
Yeah, I don't think Flo's ever had that support where he's had like an elite talent for goal scoring. It's getting him goal support. He's always played on a team like the Ducks, last year, which didn't have a lot of goal scoring. The Whalers the year before, which had some guys who could score between like Trent and then before they traded McShannock, and they had Chad and Kimmel. So had some goal scoring there, some prowess, not a ton. But he's never really played on a team that's had elite level goal scoring. So it'll be interesting to see if he does, or when he gets drafted number 1 overall, likely, what he does if he gets 3 goals a game support, if he steps up and those goals against average and the stats actually match his draft position for the first time in a while. Because I know 2 years ago, he's drafted number 1 overall, ended up being like the 3rd or 4th goalie in goals against at the end of the year. It was like the 4th goalie in goals against at the end of the year. It was kind of surprising. And then last year, I don't know what his stats were for the goals against. But the thing about goals against is it's kind of a tricky, it's more of a team stat per se. But at the same time, in this league where you don't have a lot of talent, that's going to be shooting pucks from like high danger save percentage areas and doing lots of things. I guess it's not a great metric, but it's a better metric than having nothing at all.
Yeah, it's tough. Next on the list would be Ryan Z. He was a North Star last year, putting up a nice, solid season, obviously. I forget, were they number 1 or number 2 going into I think they were number 2 going into the playoffs. Hurt his knee or had surgery. So I think the biggest question on him is how is he going to come back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's another guy I feel like if there's tiers of goalies, quote unquote, and all the goalies are within like 5 points of each other, Chell stat wise, he's like in that second tier with Cone, or like maybe maybe if you just want to put one big tier, one small tier, he'd be in the tier with like myself and Flo and Cam and Cone, where he has the ability to play well. I've seen him lay a couple eggs before too when he first got in the league, but he's got big pads. He's got solid fundamentals. He never does anything flashy. I never seen him make a really big save, but at the same time, I never seen him give up like super crappy goals. And
I don't know how. Do you know how major the surgery was he had? Because I haven't heard about that. I haven't actually heard if he skated since then.
I haven't either, and I was about to say that's the first time I actually even heard if he had a surgery in the first place. So you bring it up just now is an interesting fact.
Well, yeah, Cam subbed for him at the end of the year in the finals.
Yeah, so I guess that's the biggest X factor is if he can bring back the same form he had the year prior to, where he was keeping his team in games, giving his team a chance to win every single night, and not giving up deflating goals.
It sounds like, according to Drager, he's projected to be good to go for night 1. The problem is what kind of rushes are going to be there? Is he going to be feeling good? those are all scary things when taking that goalie in that situation. Does it drop? Or, I mean, we do have this year, 7th team doesn't make the playoffs. That's a scary thing. So you can't have to.
That.
On
a personal note, I love that. Sorry, but go ahead.
Oh, I do too. So you have to worry about getting off to a slow start can hurt your team greatly. Where as of last year, it was just got to be ready by the playoffs. Nothing else matters. So that's kind of scary. Like, do you take him lower because you know the healthy guy? It'd be nice to see him get a skate or two in. Well, the draft is in a week and a half, so I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. But
he can get a skate in before the season starts. That's all that matters.
Oh, I just meant it'd be nice to see how he looks before the draft when making that decision or not. But maybe it'll actually with this knee issue gone. I think he had the other knee done the year before. Could actually help him step up his game.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's also a play that you have to factor in.
Yeah, last guy on the list would be the new guy, Dylan. I've seen him play a couple times. I think I like him more than you do.
Dylan is a beauty. So Dylan, it's not that I don't like him. I like Dylan. I just don't think at the current state of his game, of which he's Rust Belt number 5, give him like a couple months of consistently playing week in and week out hockey. Give him more than 5 games underneath his belt, and yeah, I think he's gonna be competitive. I think he's gonna be a good guy in the league. Like, he's gonna be a solid goalie, and he may be even moving up the ranks and being talked about in myself, Cam, J Flo, Ryan Z, maybe. But right now, I feel he's a lower end guy just because he hasn't played as many games and got as many reps as all the goalies in the league currently. I mean, he hadn't played in 8 years since he last
played.
Like
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times in 8 years. So, I mean, to come back, that's huge. I mean, your flexibility, everything about your body could possibly change between 8 years. Once he starts playing again, though, he's the third of the bigger guys in the league where he takes up a lot of net space, so he doesn't need to come out, cut down angles, which is good for a team that, let's say your team is more defensive oriented, right? And it's not really offensively inclined, really a lot of offensive defensemen. You can kind of sit back in and hit more stretch and counter passes because he's not going to come out, cut down angles, kick things out to corners. He's just going to gobble up rebounds because he's going to sit deeper in his net because he's a larger goalie. Kind of play like Henrik Lundqvist kind of style where he only goes to the top of the blue. And when the drop-ins, he's kind of done that to a degree. I mean, he's come out when he needs to, but he mainly sits in the top of the blue because he's 6'4" or 6'3". He's big. So, I mean, he takes a lot of net. He stops the shots. He has stopped most of the shots that he's supposed to. And again, there's just been drop-ins, and drop-ins are different than game situations. So he's played elite levels before against the Tri-State Americans and stuff in AAA hockey. So it's not like he hasn't been to a high-level hockey before. It's just whether he gets there in time for the team he's going to be drafted for before it's too late. So
yeah, I mean, he's played for the Worms a couple times. I've seen him play a couple times now in drop-ins and other things here. I like the way he played overall. I mean, the 2-hour skate at the end, he was a little, whatever, but everybody was tired by the end of that skate, so I'm not going to blame him there.
I was dragging ass.
He got a shutout for the Worms in the one game.
Mm-hmm.
Positive there. He's a big talker in the net. I really like that. I heard people used to complain about Troy doing that, but I was always a fan of that. He would tell me if, there's a guy behind me that I didn't see. He would tell me if he was being screened. He was a good communicator, which I'm a big fan of as a defenseman, having that goalie doing that.
Yeah, I like doing that, or I try to do that. And I like doing that for my higher level, whatever I play higher level leagues. But for Monday Night Lights, a lot of times by the time I speak up, the play's already too late, or they've already shot, or different things happen. So a lot of times it doesn't necessarily matter for a league, which is kind of bad to say. It's a bad habit to get into. But that being said, like you said, good communication on the ice is great. Also, intangibles. So off the ice, not only does he have a great hockey IQ on the ice, his IQ off the ice, Slack. He's gonna be huge on Slack, I imagine. He's already been great. He's already been ingrained in the league with myself and Cam and Dave P. And he's already been out to the bowling alley. We already had some beers. So Dylan as a person, perfect fit for Monday Night Lights.
Yeah,
perfect.
He hung out with us after WVW games. Seems like a super nice guy. So those are all pro positives for him going into there. There's a couple other guys already that, technically we did not cover 77 people because we've talked about, sounds like Bakor is out. We haven't heard about Tom Phillips yet. We don't know if they're in, they're out, if anybody's going to be replacing them. But there was I think it was Keith Wood, I think his name was, Dave P's friend. Last Tuesday, he was following us live on Twitch making comments. Like, guys like that, it's like, they enjoy hockey. They enjoy this. It's nice to see. It's nice. New guys, whoever else participating in the league. Yeah, you don't have to be I'm in here 20 hours a day chatting on Slack type thing. But it's nice, you do a little bit here, a little bit there. Those are all positives for the league, I think.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for, honestly. Everyone can bring a guy in, right? Everyone can play hockey on Monday and go home. But, I mean, it's Monday Night Lights is more than beer league, right? It's beer league, but we're all community, we're all family, and that's like extra fun about Monday Night Lights is we can get on Slack, I can chat shit about like Pete, I can chat shit about I don't know, Riley. I can have Pearcy talk crap about me. Jeremy can talk crap about Suokis. Like everybody, we're a family, so people see each other at hockey, and then we see each other, outside of hockey. You see people at like a Tigers game, so they're at work, and that's half the fun of Monday Night Lights.
Bust is only useful for his cookies.
Bust is only useful for his wife's cookies, right? Exactly. Point being, everybody knows everybody else in the league, so we're a community, we're a family, and when you have guys that just like, yeah, I can drag this guy in, it'll be part of the league on Mondays, and then like he'll go home, won't even have a beer or anything. It's like, great, sure, you're part of the league, but I mean, without having that extra intangible, it's like you're not adding anything to the league. You're just another player, which is bad. I mean, you have some of those guys mix in with the rest of the league, but at a certain point, you want guys that are going to participate outside of just.
Yeah, people have to pick their spots as well. Like some people, maybe they can't stay after a game for a beer. They got to work late. They have kids. Take them to school, but pop into Slack once a week or so. Make a few comments here. Like I think Gib, I noticed someone. I've been seeing him post a little bit more lately, which has been nice. Gib came out for a beer last Wednesday, I believe it was, after the K-Faux game. Like those things are just great. You see these people, you slowly get to know them more and more, and you just have a good time. What are you laughing about over there?
So Panny commented on Slack. He's like, Panny, you think your Hot Wheels but your Matchbox? I'm dying.
I think you overrated him there, calling him Matchbox. But
what's the other one? There's only like 4 car companies, like 4 like what 1/8? No, they're 1/32 scale cars and Hot Wheel cars.
He's closer to a Happy Meal toy.
Whoa! That's too far, because there's like Hot Wheels, Matchbox. What's the other one? There's like the actual like 1/32 hobby scale. It's like the ones that make trains, not like Lionel, but one of those type of companies that make like the iron cast ones. They're like the most expensive. Yeah, and there's like Happy Meal and like plastic Chinese ones.
Yeah, he's more of a plastic guy. Do you see the way he limps around the ice after games?
No, see, Pandy, you're always being a Matchbox in my heart. I don't think you're a plastic. That's too far.
But looks like we made it through the list now.
We did, yeah. Knocked out all the names. And we may have another 3 or 4 guys this upcoming Monday that are going to be skating, that are also looking to, 5 to 6 guys that are looking to fill 3 spots this upcoming Monday. So we may be able to figure out who's in, who's not, who's skating, who feels comfortable skating. And then we may be able to come back and hit you with 3 or 4 profiles in the next podcast on Tuesday. It's up in the air, though, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm not 100% sure when this is going to be released. Obviously, it'll be released before the draft, which is the 15th. Don't forget House of Shamrocks. Sounds like the draft's going to start at 8 o'clock, so try to get there beforehand. After that, I'm sure we'll follow up with probably at least a few. I mean, we'll probably cover the draft, probably then look to go over every team. Lots of material there before the season starts, which I believe is just after Labor Day. 1
podcast episode per team, maybe? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Giant review of the draft, 1 per team afterwards. Preseason talk, predictions.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to do our preseason predictions on awards, Hart Trophy.
Yup. The Dickie Dunn's, like Lady Bing. There's so many Lady Bing nominees this year. It's through the roof.
But, yeah, I think with the 3 that we did today, even though they might be released on different days, I think we went over 3 hours. So,
yeah, I thought we knocked I said last time we hit for the cycle. I think we hit for the cycle now, plus an additional home run. We kind of did a lot of work today, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, always a reminder, you can give us a call, 714-75-WHOOP. Email the show, podcast@mnlhl.com. Subscribe to us and follow us on Twitch as well. Draft will be streamed live there. We'll see how that goes over. Hopefully well. And anything else for us?
Maybe we'll see you guys here this upcoming Tuesday with another episode. Maybe we might release a little bit later, like you said. Other than that, Spicy here is good to go.
Okay, then I guess we are over.